What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. It is a nice, beautiful, cold, rainy day here in central North Carolina. I made a promise to one of my listeners that I would stop driving and filming at the same time. I thought I was being pretty safe, but she kind of pulled my card a little bit and was like, hey, I work in insurance claims, okay? And the majority of the claims that come across my desk are as a result of distracted driving, just like you're doing now. So I started thinking about it, and I thought to myself, you know, I want to be a good influence to people on here. I don't want to be a danger to my community. I want to help my community, right? Plus, I want to be a responsible father. I want to be a responsible husband. I want to be a responsible citizen. All of those things led me to the conclusion that, come on, dude, stop being hard-headed. Just park the car, do your video, and then you can drive. So that's what I'm doing. As the title of the video states, there are two instances where I would encourage someone to do Kratom. I got to thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know, I go pretty hard in the paint at times on this channel about Kratom. And recently, since I've come off of it, I've been doing quite a lot of telling why I've come off of it, you know, and I think to some people it makes it sound like I'm painting a bad picture of Kratom when that is not at all what I'm doing. So I guess my overarching message to everyone is that Kratom is not for everyone. It is for some people, and it may be a good option for some people, but it's not for everyone. Well, I'm going to tell you the two instances where I feel like it would be a good option for someone, okay? Now listen, this isn't medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm a former teacher. My degree is in education, so I'm not trying to give anyone any medical advice. This is just coming from a person who has quite a bit of experience with substance use, substance abuse, specifically opiates, and I also used Kratom for about 5 years. So the first instance where I would recommend someone to use Kratom is if they are already on a harder opiate, as in heroin, fentanyl, OxyContin, pain pills, anything like that. If it is a person who is struggling with an addiction to those things and they are using those things heavily, I would say that Kratom is definitely a good option for them to switch over to, at least for a temporary period of time. Now listen, a lot of people get caught up in this whole stop demonizing Kratom. I mean, it's the answer to the opioid crisis and all this. And listen, I don't disagree, but here's my problem with that argument, okay? It's true. It may not cause you to kill over and drop dead in one dose like fentanyl or heroin potentially could, okay? It may not have the cumulative dangerous effects over a short period or long period of time. We don't really know yet. There's not been enough studies on it. It may be less, you know, destructive and less dangerous than the other alternatives, the pain pills. I'm sure it's less destructive than the pain pills with all the acetaminophen and stuff in it. I'm surprised my liver still works, to be completely honest with you, because I went through a pretty heavy pain pill addiction back in my 20s and 30s. I mean, that just goes to show you how resilient your liver is. But point being, I don't want to get off track here. A lot of people make the argument, oh, it's the answer to the opioid crisis. Yes, but you're still addicted to something, you know, and we can always make that argument, well, yeah, well, I'm taking, you know, 60 grams of Kratom every day, but at least I'm not using fentanyl, or at least I'm not using heroin, you know, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it's a good argument, but then what? What's the end game there? The end game is you're still addicted to something, and Kratom addiction can be a son of a bitch, just like heroin, just like pain pills, just, you know, and we can make the argument all day, it's better or it's worse or it's not quite as bad, or, you know, we can go around in circles on that. People have different experiences with it, but that's why I'm not really fond of that argument. Of course, Kratom, you know, as far as what we can tell, is the lesser of the evils. Okay, I get that. But a lot of those people that are switching from heroin, fentanyl, pain pills, and then coming over to Kratom are finding that they're still trapped in this cycle of addiction. Now it's just a different substance. Now it's Kratom as opposed to heroin or fentanyl or whatever it is. You know, you still are living in the 3-hour intervals. You still are having the discomfort when you try to go for a certain amount of time without taking it. You're still having all of these things. You're still having the depression when you don't take it. You're still having the restless legs, the sleepless nights, all these other things if you don't take it. So yeah, it may be the lesser of the evils, but it's still in there. It's still in the mix with something that people can become dependent upon and that people can get addicted to, okay? So that's why I'm not real fond of that argument. But circling back to my original point, if someone is on harder, more dangerous opiates like that, I would definitely recommend that person give Kratom a try. You know, even if it's just temporarily, it'll help with some of the decrease some of the withdrawals that you might experience from coming off of the major ones. And you know, and it could be a long-term solution for someone, don't get me wrong, if they can work their way down to where they're taking a moderate amount of it. But like I said, there's always an asterisk next to when you say, well, it's the lesser of two evils, it's the answer to the opioid crisis. Well, yeah, but the problem with that is people that are addicted to these harder opioids, they're opioid addicts. So when you switch them from one thing to another thing that also has an opioid type effect, now they're addicted to that thing. You're still addicted either way. Now, the second instance, well, I said I wasn't going to bash Kratom on here, and I'm not. I know it may sound like it. I've heard people make that argument, you know, it's the answer to the opioid crisis and all this. And I mean, I get the angle, I get where you're coming from with that. And it's not that I would disagree in part, but when you step back and look at the whole picture, I can't really fully agree with that, you know, because it's still an addiction. And an addiction to an addicted person is a bad thing. And it sucks to be in the middle of it, okay? And for anybody out there who's severely addicted to Kratom, it sucks for them. Let's get honest, you know, and most of them, it might not be something they talk about at parties or at family gatherings, but when they get by themselves and they're alone with their thoughts, most people who have a severe addiction to Kratom are thinking to themselves, I hate this. Damn, I hate I got myself in this situation. You know, I mean, you can lie to everybody else. You can't lie to yourself. I mean, you can try, but usually yourself is like, come on, dude. It's me. You're me and I'm you. Come on. You can't, you know, can't bullshit a bullshitter, right? Anyway, the second instance where I would encourage someone to try Kratom is if someone is truly experiencing a chronic pain issue, okay? Because I definitely think Kratom is a better option than the drug-pushing, synthesized opioids that doctors might give you or that a pain clinic might give you. I do think that it is a better option. I think, but like I said, there's always an asterisk next to, you know, the circumstances, and the asterisk here is it needs to be a person who does not have opiate use disorder, or a person who does not have a previous disorder of abusing opiates. It really needs to be that, right? Because if it's not, then you're looking at a situation where you tell them to use Kratom, they start using Kratom, 6 months later, you know, they might not be having any physical pain, but then they're strung out on Kratom. And then they get to a point where it starts to wreck their life in other ways. And then they've got the physical pain added to emotional distress and health anxiety and all these other things that can be a byproduct or side effect of heavy use of Kratom. So if a person who is experiencing like chronic physical pain is going to turn to Kratom for relief, I think, you know, it's important that that person not have opiate use disorder and be a person that tends to abuse stuff like that. If you are typically a person who abuses stuff like that, abuses opiates, then you'll abuse Kratom. I think 99.9% of the time. That's just the way I believe. I think it's the way our brains work as addicts, and anyone who tries to convince me different, you know, if you know somebody who is different, then they're not truly an addict. And if they are, there's levels to being an addict. You know, certain levels of addiction, people just can't do it, you know, because they don't know how to do it moderately. And so there is a third. I know the video said 2, but there is a third that I could potentially add to my list, but this one has a big fat asterisk beside it. And that is if someone is experiencing severe depression, someone is experiencing severe anxiety. I definitely think a little bit of Kratom a couple of times a day. And again, this person needs to not have opiate use disorder, because if they do, they're just going to abuse it. And then that's going to make everything, including their anxiety, including their depression, worse in the long run, okay? Trying to make it better in the long run, not worse. So if a person is experiencing, you know, breakthrough anxiety, depression, I think that person would be okay to take a little bit of Kratom. And, you know, it needs to be done moderately, because as you know, you get to that tipping point where you start taking too much, and then the effects and the benefits start going from benefits to then now it's starting to be a detriment to you. And you don't want that. If you're going to use something like Kratom, you want to use it for its benefits, not for its detriments, not for its negative side effects, right? So that's what I got. I got to get somewhere. I don't want to be late. And I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the support. If you would like to support this channel more, there's a cash button that says thanks down below this video. You're welcome to hit that. Toss your boy a couple of bones for my time and effort that I put into this. And also become a member. It's $3 a month for the Lunch Breaker 1, $5 a month for the Lunch Breaker 2. That is not a lot of money, guys. And that helps this channel have more fuel, helps it become more self-sufficient, helps me to be able to do what I really want to do in this world. I'm a creator. I'm an artist at heart in here, and I would be very appreciative. I'm going to put all that down in the description, the link to become a member. If you would do that, click it now. Don't think about it, just do it. Thank you for those who already have. All right, I love you guys very much. I will see you on the next one.